You know that feeling when you're browsing online, maybe looking at a new pair of sneakers, and then suddenly ads for those exact sneakers start following you everywhere? Or how your grocery store sends you a coupon for that one thing you just ran out of? Well, I can tell you it's not magic, and it's definitely not a coincidence. What you're seeing is something called data mining.
Right? It's the central question of our digital lives. It creates that kind of eerie feeling that companies somehow know what you're thinking. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and explain exactly how it works. And the answer? Well, it's both simpler and way, way bigger than you probably imagine.
It all begins with a sheer, overwhelming amount of information being created every single second of every day. I mean, every click you make, every purchase, every swipe, it's all getting recorded, creating this massive digital tidal wave. And companies are just trying to keep their heads above water and make sense of it all. The scale is, honestly, it's hard to even wrap your head around. For example, get this number, 460 terabytes. That was the size of Walmart's transaction database all the way back in 2004. A single terabyte is 1,000 gigabytes. So that was just a staggering amount of data back then, and trust me, it has only grown like crazy since. To try and put that into perspective, 460 terabytes is about the same amount of text as you'd find in 12 million books. So yeah, just one company was juggling that much information almost 2 decades ago. And that really frames the challenge perfectly, right? How in the world do you find anything useful in a library that gigantic? And it's not just what you buy at the store. Let's look at the world of finance. Credit card companies, altogether, collect somewhere around 100 billion transactions every single year. Each one of those is another tiny, tiny piece in this massive puzzle of what we all do. So where do we store all this? Well, by 2003, we were already buying 16,000 petabytes of disk space a year. And a petabyte is 1,000 terabytes. The conclusion is pretty clear. We are sitting on an absolute mountain of data. So now we need a way to find the gold inside it. And that right there brings us to the core of this whole explainer. How do we sift through all that digital noise to find the valuable little nuggets of information? Well, this is exactly where data mining comes into play. At its heart, data mining is pretty much what it sounds like. It's a structured process for digging into these enormous data sets, hunting for those hidden patterns, those surprising connections, and the useful insights that you would never find just by glancing at the numbers. My favorite analogy for this is the old-time prospector. The river is that flood of raw data we were talking about, mostly just silts and rock, noise. Data mining is the pan. It's the tool you use to methodically sift through everything until only those shiny, valuable flakes of gold, the actual insights, are left.
Now, you can't just do this on any old system. Think about it. The database that processes your credit card payment in a split second, that's built for speed and reliability. But data mining, that requires a totally different kind of database, one that's designed not for quick little transactions, but for deep, complex questions, to find those hidden patterns.
Okay, so this might all be sounding a bit abstract and technical, but the truth is, data mining is already a huge part of your daily life, probably in ways you don't even realize. Let's look at a few examples. One of the most important uses is security. It's kind of like a silent guardian for your financial info, always watching in the background for things that just don't look right. Have you ever gotten that text from your bank asking, "Hey, did you just spend $200 in a different state?" Yep. That's data mining. The system builds a model of your normal spending habits, and when a purchase happens way outside that pattern, it gets flagged. This same idea helps companies spot weird expense claims, and it even helps banks decide who's a good risk for a loan or insurance.
And of course, we've got to talk about marketing. This is the one we all probably notice the most, for better or for worse. Companies are just desperate to understand what makes us tick.
By analyzing your buying history and comparing it to millions of other people, companies can pinpoint the exact things that trigger a sale. They can predict which customers are likely to want a new product and figure out what it takes to earn your loyalty. This is the engine behind all those personalized experiences that feel like they're reading your mind. But data mining isn't just about selling you stuff. It's also about making your digital life a little bit easier. A ton of analysis goes into simply making websites less frustrating to use. Web designers track how thousands of us click around a website, where we get stuck, what buttons we ignore, to constantly improve the layout and make it more intuitive. And of course, it's what powers those classic "people who bought this also bought" suggestions. That's a perfect example of pattern finding in action. So how does this all actually work? It's not like there's some magic button they push. It's a methodical process, a playbook that analysts follow to get from a mountain of raw data to a real-world decision. The whole thing follows a pretty logical path. First, you have to have a clear goal. What question are you even trying to answer? Then comes the really hard part, collecting and cleaning all the data. I mean, fixing mistakes, filling in missing info, this can honestly take up more than half the time of the whole project. Only then can you start exploring for patterns. After that, you test your findings, put them into action, and then you just keep an eye on them. It's not a one-and-done fix. It's this constant cycle of improvement. When you boil it all down, all of that technology, all of that work, it serves one single purpose: to turn that overwhelming mountain of data into a clear, simple insight that helps a real person make a smarter decision. Okay, let's bring this all together. We've seen the problem, this explosion of data, and we've seen the process designed to solve it. So what's the big takeaway from all this? The next time you get a perfect recommendation from a streaming service or a timely fraud alert from your bank, just remember what's going on behind the scenes. It's not a crystal ball. It's a disciplined, really powerful process that lets us find meaningful signals in an ocean of digital noise. It's pretty much our best tool for making sense of this incredibly complex, data-driven world we live in. And that leaves us with the ultimate question. This technology gives us the power to find almost any pattern we can imagine. So the real challenge now is deciding which patterns are actually important, which insights will help us build a better future. And that really is a conversation we all need to be a part of. Thanks for tuning in.